Hello, welcome to Sketch Club. I'm Jason Mayr. I'll be hosting tonight. Izzy and Cindy will be back Sunday. Before Sketch Club, before Sketch Club gets started tonight, I would like to spend about 5 minutes and take you through what I'll be doing tonight on my sketches. Again, there's no right or wrong way. You're welcome to just watch. I highly encourage you to grab something to mark with and draw along. And if you like to follow my method, great. If not, do your own thing. So let's jump over the iPad though, and I will show you what I'll be doing tonight. Again, we've worked on this sketch so far for 15 minutes, 5 minutes Sunday, and then 10 minutes Tuesday, and then we're going to do the whole 20-minute session on it tonight. Okay, but before we start, let's suppose we had a big pile of grapes, or a smile. What is that, 4 grapes? We have 4 grapes piled up there. And if we wanted to create some focus on one of those grapes in particular, how might we do that? Well, we could easily add a highlight to that one only, and that would make a big difference. But outside of highlight, how else could we do that? Well, if we had like a gray background, say something about like this. And if I wanted to focus on this particular grape here, what I might do then is make the difference between some of these other grapes and the background or even the ground a little quieter. Okay, so without even the need of the highlight, even in here we could go a little bit less, and maybe right here as well. Okay, get you out from in front of the shadow. So now where are you going? Well, that negative shape is pretty strong now, right? So sometimes it's about taking away more than adding. But if we take away and add, now you're going to go to that instantly, right? But just one grape's not too much to write home about. So then what if we showed a little stem? Now we're really focusing on that far end of the grapes, aren't we? Okay, so taking things away, detail, and by taking things away, what we're doing is we're taking the differences and bringing them closer. And then we're saving the real differences just for where we really want it. So that's going to be the idea about what you see me do tonight. And you follow along. So again, it's the idea of more the taking away rather than adding and adding and adding. And the reason we might take away, is so that we focus on something, right? Typically, if we don't think about it, we just want to add and add and add and add. But let's see what we can do by taking away. Hi, Karen. You ready to draw tonight? So it looks like we're getting close for our timer. So if everybody's ready, we will get going. Some of the things you want to do too by bringing them close is, what are we going to accentuate and what are we going to take away? All right, so as they get closer and closer, they get less and less different. And that means getting quieter and quieter and quieter. Hi, Susan. Good to see you. I was scared to death since we weren't going to have much beauty to look at tonight, that I'd be left alone. So, glad you guys made it. Again, so that may not seem like taking away, but what's happening? Well, what's happening is the tone of that paper is getting made closer to the tone of the grapes and the tone of the pitcher. And notice how I'm intentionally leaving a little space around the grapes so that the difference between the grapes and the tone of the paper is greater. Right? And it's going to just add a little more impact, draw them right where we want them to go. How are you guys liking this format? I've been so busy just trying to get this done. I haven't had the chance to ask you guys what you think so far. I really like this format, and unless you guys just hate it, I think we'll try it for at least a few weeks. 4 or 5 minutes on Sundays, and out of those 4, on Tuesday we'll work on 2 of them for 10 more minutes, and then on Thursday, out of those 2, we'll work on one other one for the 20 minutes. Yes, Susan thinks the idea is good. Right on. Right on. It's been a little bit of a schedule for me, but I wanted to do this because I do enjoy doing this so much. And sometimes things can get so busy that unless it's an obligation, I'm obligated to you guys now. So, lights a little fire under me. But the additional benefit of doing that schedule like we were talking about is I'm able to do all the recordings at one time, and that really saves on time. And then we can split it up into our 3 20-minute shows a week. And once I'm back on top of things, at least in our class group, we're going to start morning with the masters probably a couple days a week. That'll just be a 5 or 10 minute show where we look at some master paintings. And of course, we have the visual principles of painting. Our 4-week session, we spend the first 2 weeks with compositional study and a color study. And then the last 2 weeks, we're going to be starting a new painting. Or not starting a new painting, but doing the painting from scratch. Investing all that knowledge we gained with the compositional study and all those problems we solved with the color study. And we're going to put that to work from the beginning of the painting. So again, here I'm trying to intensify the center a little bit, so it's not so abrupt on the edges. Right, it's just amazing if there's not a lot going on what a dot of white will do. But you do too many of them, and they all kind of disappear. They don't disappear as in you can't see them, it's just they kind of become bland. It's like a real tasty chip or something. Man, the first handful are really, really tasty, but half a bag in and you're not really tasting that flavor anymore. You're doing something else. The flavor has diminished. The crunch is still there, but the flavor has diminished. And sometimes where we can take away is those junctions between the cast shadow and like the grape. We want to avoid having like real hard corners, but we want enough that we can see that grape turning under, right? And that shadow's laying on the table. Okay, you know how I'm making my marks? They're not a line, but a little bit choppy, right? So it's got more of a little bit more natural of a wood feel. And then that can contrast with the petals of the peach blossoms that are really smooth. So the way we put the value down, right? If we put the same value down 3, 4, 5 different ways, then we can get a lot more out of that single value. And notice how I'm trying to be a little bit quieter at the end than I was with those first two. Again, just trying to let go. Not all at once, but just quietly. And the shadow shapes on these peach blossoms. Again, I don't want it to feel as heavy as those grapes. Those are light, delicate little flowers. See if I get around to fixing this grape. I can't remember if I do or not. Oh, I just kind of hide that edge, so bam, no need to fix it. See, good thing I wasn't drawing that. I'd have messed that up, put a big hard line there. No way, just vague it out. And then see the beginning of those grapes, like we had in the intro, and you see that negative shape in those grapes? And again, that negative shape isn't razor sharp all the way around. And that it can start to look a little more natural. But your shadows and your darks, they have to be even enough to carry. Right? You've always got to worry about both ends of the stick as you're carrying this around. The light end, the dark end, the structure, the movement. You don't have to worry. It's something to consider. Don't worry about it. Just sketch. Just sketch. But after you're not afraid of sketching anymore, and once you get comfortable and you want to get better, you know, you want to start kind of quizzing yourself. What did I do that for? Was that of any use? Did that push the entire thing forward? And so again, you have an idea you're working from, but you're not doing it in a this is what I said. No, but you're kind of feel what's the weather? What's the current in the river? What's the mood of the people? What's, you know, feeling it out. It's a feel. The work will tell you. The piece of paper will tell you more or less. Right? So it's definitely a dance. And if you listen to your material, to whatever you're making a mark with and whatever you're making a mark on, and you remain open and see it with fresh eyes, see how I just kind of wiped that out a little bit? And that made those two that are closer more focused. I think the part we're working on now is actually the part, at least for me, took the longest in my artistic development. And it's really the part that adds the poetry into the work. The poetry. And we're all in this for different reasons. None of them better than others. You do it for your reason, but My reason's that poetry. And I just cleaned up that one negative. I didn't go clean up all those shapes, but just that one right there. Really ground this thing. Really ground it out. A nice, make sure that cast shadow's clear and it's a little lighter behind. I hope some of you in class are beginning to see that how important that measure between your darks and your background really are, and how that measure can change as you move around the perimeter or the contour of the of your objects, of your pictures, of your dark shapes, let's say, and your gray shapes. Because if you're really looking with the eye of the artist, you're not looking at a picture. You're more concerned with the shape of that dark, where it grabs, where it releases, how it dances with the other shapes. At least I am. At least that's my concern. That's my concern. Of course, there's always more than one way. There's always more than one way. But the important thing is, and it's funny how true I think this is on so many. Let the why, or your intent, what are you intending to do? Let that dictate your technique, right? And learn techniques or figure techniques out so that you can execute your idea. But let it all follow the idea, right? Don't just start working and hope an idea appears. Yeah. All right, I'm going a little bit deep. Sorry, the work I did today was a little bit different. This is a 20-minute. It's a 20-minute sketch, but the truth all holds. We don't get uptight. But again, what little changes can you do? What shapes can you make? How can you adjust those shapes? Add a little more to them. The ones that are already there. The ones that are already there. And if you were here on Tuesday, do you guys remember how I said we have that V of those lights going up through the picture and then that one grape over there kind of balancing things out? You see that hasn't changed. I'm just extrapolating on it, refining it, making it more, but the same movement is generally there. And I'm trying to keep the same peaks and valleys within that movement. Right? I may add a few little notes, but I'm not, each time I go, changing where I'm going to peak and where it's going to valley. Right? Obviously, that highlights the brightest thing on there. And that big highlight right there on the belly, that's the brightest thing. Right? Know what your brightest thing is. Right? And then relate your other brights to that brightest. Right? Which one of your brightest things is the closest to your light? Which one's the closest to your gray? Which one's the closest to your dark? Right, so just a quiet highlight on that front one. Right, and just define that grape a little bit. Just a little. We don't have to go all the way around. But if you hit white against it, just a tad, man, you got it. You got it. I hope you guys are enjoying this show more than Millie, and I hope you can't hear her. She is just sitting here crying, singing the blues. Singing the blues. I don't know how you could be looking at this scene and singing the blues. To me, this is just a really, really beautiful little dance and movement. All right, if we could only execute, if we could only fully execute the vision, man. Right, and the bottom of that picture is important, but we don't want it stronger than those grapes. So you're always kind of thinking, oh, forgot I did that. Remember the introduction when I grayed out that first grape? That's what I just did with the bottom of the picture to that first grape. Extend that approach to the grape we can see. And again, just kind of going around the highlights that I put in there, and I can cut them back a little bit if they're too much, or correct the angle if they're slightly off, shorten them if they're too long. It's a push and pull. It's a push and pull. But you have to consistently push and consistently pull. You can't haphazardly. Right? You need to know where you need to grab. You need to know where you need to let go. How are you guys coming along? From the paintings I've seen, you guys are doing really great. So Friday feedback's tomorrow morning. And we had fewer paintings turned in this week. So what I'm planning on doing is I'm going to work on some of them tonight, but I'm going to kind of work and let you guys ask questions as I do it. And again, the theme is going to be, how do we take away? Right? So we're really going to go into that technique with paint. And since we have another class Monday, I don't have to cover too much tomorrow. So we can really dig in on these paintings and what we want to do when we approach them. Again, you see how I try to get a little bit less as I got over to the side? Look how much less that is than that grape under it. That's quite a bit less. Until you acquire the feel for that more or less, it's hard to intellectually grasp how important it is. Or how powerful it is. Maybe that's a better word than important. But getting that measure and that measure right. And like I said, letting it climax where we want it to climax, peak where we want it to peak. And then everything not be equal to that, but less than, to some degree or another. And here what I'm doing is up front, quietly, I'm trying just to establish more. And that's going to help create distance on this table. Right? Make it seem like that picture's set further back there in space. All right, I was able today to get some photographs. I hadn't even had a chance to really go through them, of some new material for Sketch Club. I've been digging in with the photos I've already had with the pandemic and all, but today I had the opportunity to get some fresh things. So I'm looking forward to that. Again, to the layperson, it can look like he's just throwing, what skills in that? But the skills in the pressure, right? Because that pressure tells me how far, how dark, how light, how soft, how hard. Right? And that's the music. That is the music. All right, how did you guys do tonight? So I'm going to disappear here for a second so you guys can take a look at what ended up being my finale. Okay, so what is that? 35-minute total? Not bad for 35 minutes, huh? And we had fun to boot. Had fun to boot. Okay, so for you guys in class, we will be back tomorrow morning for our Zoom Friday feedback. We'll go over some paintings, so make sure you tune in for that because it's going to be a good one. And then Sketch Club will be back Sunday night. Izzy and Cindy should be here, and we'll do 4 5-minute sketches then. All right, until then, I hope you guys had a good time. Thanks for joining me, and we'll tune back in on... See you, Susan. Sunday. Bye, everybody.